Hello, everybody. This is Dennis Kelly. We're here today to talk about triggered direct mail and why it's exploding during this crisis that we're going through. I'm not sure if I'm being joined today by anybody from NEDMA, who is the sponsor of this. I want to thank NEDMA for giving me the opportunity to present today. If anybody has any questions along the way, you can use the chat function to type in any questions you have. So we'll go through the presentation and answer questions at some various breakpoints or at the end. So I hope everybody enjoys the presentation. Just a quick background on me. I'm the CEO of Postalytics, and here's how to get in touch with me. Postalytics is a 3-year-old startup in the new field of direct mail automation. And in a time when many think that the direct mail has gone by the way of the dinosaur, we're actually seeing an explosion of growth in a new type of direct mail marketing called triggered direct mail. So what we're going to do today is talk about what's happening in triggered direct mail, what it is and why it's important. Next, we're going to dive into how today's marketing tech stack is enabling triggered direct mail to flourish. And then finally, we'll review some client case studies and see how it's actually being deployed on a successful basis. So before we get into that, though, let's just talk a little about what's going on in today's world. We're obviously all aware of the crisis that has really impacted our healthcare system and our economy in general. And it's had a huge impact on the direct mail business overall. So there's lots of data out there that I'm sure folks may be familiar with, but just some samples. The analysts at what they think print are saying that mail volume is dropping by close to 50% over the last 11 weeks. The analysts at SQL Response are projecting that Q2 2020 mail volumes will be 50% off of last year. And finally, the USPS, which is the backbone of the direct mail marketing business, is seeing or estimating an increase in their operating loss of $22 billion over the next 18 months, all due to the COVID crisis. So it's just been a horrible thing for lots of folks in the direct mail business. Lots of industries that send a lot of direct mail have been impacted: travel, hospitality, restaurants. Lots of these businesses send a lot of mail, and they're really hurting. So direct mail volumes overall have really been hurt due to the crisis. Postalytics has seen a significant growth, though, in what we call triggered direct mail. Here's some sample stats. As I mentioned, we're a 3-year-old startup. And so in 2019, we saw 120% growth in triggered campaign volume. Obviously, we have a short history, but that's quite a bit of growth, as you can imagine. And more specifically, since March 16th, we've seen an explosion in triggered direct mail. Lots of new campaigns, new customers coming on board with a specific goal of deploying direct mail through triggered mechanisms, and a huge increase in volume in mail pieces triggered by these campaigns. And so, while this is going on inside of Postalytics, we're also seeing a lot of other companies jumping into this space. And so, one of the signs of growth of any industry is when a whole bunch of startups are jumping in. And so there's been a big increase in startup activity in this space over the last 3 years, with both bootstrapped and venture-backed companies all finding their footing and digging into some real specific market segments and delivering value into them. all of them are focused around this notion that triggered mail is a new and better way to develop direct mail marketing campaigns. So to start then, let's dig in and talk a little bit more about what triggered marketing actually is. And so the basic idea is that you ought to be able to define the events that are critical during the customer life cycle. And then you ought to be able to message when those events happen. And so, real basic concept. You have a long relationship with a customer from awareness all the way through post-sale and loyalty. There are lots of points along the way where things happen in that relationship. Those things that happen should be kicking off real specific messaging. That's what triggered marketing is. And so another way to kind of define things is by talking about what it isn't. So what triggered marketing is not is any kind of broadcast about your brand. A sale announcement, a newsletter, traditional acquisition mailing, all these things, where you're sending out a big bulk message to lots of people. That's not triggered marketing. So within triggered marketing, there are really two types of events that are typically involved in a triggered campaign. The first is what we refer to as a demographic event. And so demographic or life cycle events are a very common form of triggered marketing, and it's one that direct mail has been doing for a long time. A lot of us have run these types of campaigns. You buy or rent a list of recent movers, for example. You send out direct mail on behalf of a local service provider in an attempt to form a local business relationship. The other type of event that makes up a big part of the triggered marketing world are behavioral events. And so these are events that happen typically when something online occurs. Somebody's online behavior is captured, and that forms the basis of a triggered message of some kind. And the use of this kind of trigger has exploded in recent years. And so some of the typical campaigns that you see when behavioral triggers are used are a welcome series. So you download some piece of content from a B2B company, fill out a form, give them your email, you get a welcome series that is introducing you to the brand and trying to develop some sort of relationship with you. You filling out that form is that behavioral trigger. You've indicated some interest in that type of content. Another, abandoned shopping cart. So I go online, I'm looking at buying something, I decide last moment, not now. We've all experienced this. All of a sudden you're getting followed around the internet by these digital ads that are pitching the exact thing that you took a look at. And so we've all seen these kind of email and digital media campaigns. We all get a lot of them. So why? Why are all these things happening? What's driving this growth? It's that online behavior. It's the common denominator for these behavioral triggers. The technology has made it very easy to track people, right? So we're leaving cookies all over the place. Even though cookies are going to go away, there's lots of other ways to track people. And then the other thing is that programmatic buying has made it super easy to get purchase behavior based profiles. So what are people buying? That data is being collected and sold and resold all over the world all day long. So it's easy and there's lots of data. So what are the kind of behaviors that are being organized into campaigns for these behavioral triggers? So you've got a lot of information about what people are doing online. You've got a lot of data on them. What do you do with it? How do you use those triggers to message people at key stages of the customer lifecycle? So once those behavioral triggers are captured, they get organized into automated workflows in CRM and marketing automation tools. And those workflows drive the messaging that marketers have created for various stages of the life cycle. So as an example, in this case, my abandoned shopping cart gets captured by the marketing automation system. An automated workflow has been already set up to capture the item that I was looking at and dynamically insert it into ads and emails that get sent out automatically. It's all being done behind the scenes. Once the setup is done, it just runs. So this type of behavioral trigger has really grown. The usage of this has really grown as marketing automation has been adopted. So marketing automation is exploding. It's already exploded. It's a huge business. SharpSpring says that in 2016, it was a $2.5 billion business in B2B alone. And Forrester is predicting the market to grow from 11.5 billion globally to 25 billion in the next 6 years. So it's a huge investment on the part of businesses and other organizations all over the world. Everybody's investing in marketing automation. So then why is triggered marketing a really big deal? At the end of the day, because it works. So historically, when you've got demographic or life event trigger based campaigns, they've always delivered better results than broadcast style campaigns or demand gen or lead gen campaigns. So now behavioral triggers are captured, processed, and messaged in seconds, and they get great results. And when marketers find something that works, they get pretty fired up. So people are doing this because it really, really works. So what are some examples? So according to GetResponse, which is an email automation company, triggered email campaigns get open rates more than 100% higher than newsletter campaigns, with click-through rates greater than 200% higher. Blue Shift is a customer data platform company that did a recent benchmark study of batch and blast style campaigns versus triggered email sends of various types. And so they're focused on retail and e-commerce. On average, the triggered email campaigns were 624% more effective at driving sales than batch sends. And so when you get 624% better at driving sales, you get these crazy marketers going nuts again. Okay, this stuff really works. That's why everybody's doing it. So why does it work so well? There's really two big reasons. First, triggered campaigns are better marketing. Marketing fundamentals 101 stuff. The reasons why these are better are, first, triggered campaigns are inherently segmented, okay? Segmented campaigns always do better than unsegmented campaigns. This is segmentation of one. I was looking at the shoes because I'm interested in buying shoes. Okay, so number two, timing. There's a neuroscience concept that is called the recency effect, and explains why buyers react more favorably to messages about something they've recently looked at. And so the reason why those ads are following you all over the internet is because you were just looking at them. And then finally, triggered campaigns are easily personalized. Personalized campaigns always do better than non-personalized campaigns. So in this case, I was looking at men's brown hiking shoes because I have no style. And now I see an ad for men's brown hiking shoes all over the place. So these types of campaigns are way better than, hey, I'm having a sale. Broadcast to everybody. Fundamental marketing. So next, the reason why triggered campaigns work better is because they scale. And so these things, as we discussed, are involving automation. They're involving systems that just run. And so once the inputs, in this case, the abandoned shopping cart, are mapped to the segmented, timed, and personalized messaging in these automated workflows, they just keep sending out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Humans don't have to do it. What the humans are able to spend their time doing is testing and analyzing and improving the messaging in the workflows, rather than spending a lot of time in the preparation and management of the next batch and blast campaign. So, just to review, the key takeaways here. Triggered marketing really works. It's about the important events in the customer lifecycle and how they become triggers. Behavioral triggers are these fast, easy, and automated campaigns that are typically run on digital and email, and they result in highly scalable, better marketing. So what about triggered direct mail? As we mentioned, direct mail has been traditionally used when changes to consumer or business demographics occur. And so, due to the economics of setting up a print and mail operation, direct mail has always been a batch style of marketing. And batch campaigns can work really well with demographic event-based triggers, such as the new mover idea, or I just got married, or I got a new credit card offer because my credit score improved. Okay, these things can all be tracked on batch, assembled into big lists, and sent out. So here's an example of a new mover campaign. First, a whole bunch of people over a big geography decide to move. And then that data gets captured by various data aggregators, sold to marketers who want to reach movers. And these lists are compiled, printing and mailing happens, and new movers get their mail. And they respond to the offers from local service providers in their new location. The whole thing runs on large batches over a 60 to 90-day cycle. So, but why hasn't direct mail penetrated behavioral triggers? What are the differences between these demographic and behavioral-based campaigns? So first, those demographic campaigns are batch-based. You can go by big lists and you can run a big batch of mail and achieve some economies of scale in the printing and mailing of those folks by aggregating them all into one big list. It's very different. These behavioral triggers are dripped out. So as you are abandoning your shopping cart, that's all being captured in real time. And the messages that are following me around the internet or being sent to me on email are all being dripped out. There's no batch. It's a batch of one. And then the other thing is that behavioral triggers are immediate, whereas these demographic trigger-based campaigns are often delayed. There's that 60 to 90-day cycle of gathering all that data, assembling the print run, right? These are all things that are taking a whole lot of time, whereas these behavioral triggers are feeding on that concept of recency that we discussed, the timing, getting that message out right away. So if this already works. You've got email, you've got social ads, digital media that are handling these behavioral triggers already. Why bother with direct mail, right? Why would you want to do this? Just going to add more work? What's the point? So the real reason is that the scale of this automated behavioral marketing has created a real problem. And so the digital and email that these types of campaigns have created has scaled beyond our ability to absorb all these messages. And so we're all familiar with this concept of digital marketing overload. These messages are just not being viewed, okay? There are a whole lot of emails that just get deleted every day without even a glance. And on average, Americans are seeing 4,000 digital ads per day. How many of them are really being perceived? We're just completely overwhelmed, and it's all because of the scale of these automated systems. So we've got a problem, and it's reflected in the numbers. So click-through rates, according to Epsilon, have declined from 5.4% to 3.1% since 2011. Whereas direct mail response rates have increased. Okay, they're up over 50%. Okay, since 2010. Lots of reasons why. That's a whole nother presentation. But here's the dynamic. Direct mail response rates are up. Email and digital response rates are down. Marketers see that opportunity. And so what's changed? Now, by adding direct mail automation into the mix, behavioral triggers can push out direct mail, one mail piece at a time, rather than in large batches, processed in minutes, rather than in that 60 to 90-day cycle. So let's take a look at how that works. The adoption of marketing automation in the CRM by organizations large and small around the world has led to internally owned and maintained customer records with all that behavioral data that's captured, built-in automation engines that are capable of sending out dripped messaging, and then finally open APIs with large partner ecosystems. So the Salesforces of the world, the HubSpots of the world, the Adobes of the world, they all have opened up these platforms and enabled companies like Postalytics and others to jump in and connect with the data and with those workflow engines. And so the timing is instant and the production is daily, as opposed to that big old batch method that is used for demographic and batch style mailings. So what's driving the growth of triggered direct mail? It's that same direct mail automation. We've made it easy to plug mail into the existing marketing infrastructure. And the big value add that we're seeing, especially in all these recent customers that have been coming on board, is that the idea is, well, we're not going to create some sort of new type of campaign. We want to augment the existing email and digital campaigns that we've already built out. We've got a whole lot of infrastructure that has been invested in these campaigns that have these declining open rates, declining click rates. So with direct mail automation, you can plug into those campaigns and add the response of these triggered direct mail pieces into the overall mix. So let's talk about a client example. First one here is a customer onboarding campaign. So it's a Saas company in the B2B space, and they've built out an onboarding workflow where the trigger is a new customer is recorded in their marketing automation tool. So a contract is signed, somebody updates the customer record, they're now captured as a customer. So the first thing that happens, a customer service rep email goes out instantly, and a letter from the CEO welcoming the new customer gets generated instantly, gets processed same day, sent out in the mail, it's delivered in a week. So the week one, help emails are going out every 48 hours. There's a webinar invitation via postcard and email. So touching that customer twice, 2 different channels, trying to get them to really engage and get on board. Over the next couple of weeks, more emails are set up, calls are set up with a customer service manager. And then if the customer is ignoring those emails and not responding, another postcard gets triggered and sent out. Since all this data is being captured in the same system, one workflow can manage this whole thing and coordinate these multi-channel campaigns 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's all happening in the background. So what happened with this customer? So over a 9-month period, they saw a 40% decline in first month churn, and then a 200% increase in long-term value. So by setting up this workflow to touch their new customers automatically through multiple channels repeatedly, our new customer has achieved a much stronger economic value from their customers. We'll look at another campaign here. This one is a B2B e-commerce win-back campaign. Okay, so this is a customer that sells gym equipment to companies, 30,000 customers, lots of different SKUs. So their problem was that they had a whole bunch of customers that had gone quiet. Okay, no orders, no opened emails over the previous 6 months. Okay, this is again all being tracked in the marketing automation tool. The trigger is defined. And so what happens at that 6-month period? First thing that happens, a large postcard goes off with an offer, trying to get them to reawaken. Okay, email's clearly not working. Nobody's opened their email in 6 months. Follow that up over the next several weeks with more large postcard offers, weekly personal emails from a newly assigned customer service rep. Sometimes that idea of having a new person in the mix can wake up a customer. So this campaign has been set up and running, and there have been another great set of results. Dead customer order volume up almost 150%, and a 500% increase in the ROI of what was previously an email-only win-back campaign. So massive increase in value by plugging direct mail into this automated email workflow. So key takeaways. Why does triggered direct mail augment digital marketing? The scale of digital marketing has created a problem. Direct mail can now seamlessly plug in to marketing automation and CRM. And behavioral triggered direct mail can deliver segmented, timed, and personalized mail pieces to boost the existing infrastructure. Those existing campaigns that are following you around, that are reaching out to you when you sign up for something on the web, all of those can be easily augmented and improved by adding direct mail into that mix. Just a quick word about Postalytics. We insert direct mail into the marketing automation tech stack. We have these two-way integrations where we are both taking data from CRM and marketing automation and sending it back in. We have a modern open API to easily integrate with any of the other tools in the stack that have relevant data that need to be included in a mail piece. And the software is 100% cloud-based. And so why that's important today, everybody's working at home. You can log in to Postalytics, create an account, and send out sophisticated direct mail marketing campaigns through behavioral triggers in a short amount of time without having to speak to anybody, without having to negotiate anything. You can do it all in the cloud, just like you would an email marketing campaign. And so that's really what I had to present today. We'd love to talk to anybody about this. You can feel free to reach out to me here through the email or phone or Twitter handles. And I'd love to engage with anybody to talk about this. So if anybody had any questions, you can feel free to use the chat or to reach out to me afterward. And if not, then I thank you for joining today, and I will look forward to connecting down the road.